The plan, ladies and gentlemen, for the creation of a socialist world government is protected by an invented extraterrestrial threat from space. The entire UFO phenomenon and the so-called ufology, which I call the ufology movement, has been created to further the protection and activation of this plan. Within Majesty 12 is Operation Majority, which justifies the plan by presenting an extraterrestrial threat as the reason for the necessity for world government. Operation Majority is named after the original Bolshevik party which sparked the Russian Revolution. Bolshevik literally means the majority. The plan states that if the American people are ever told of this extraterrestrial presence, these aliens will destroy the United States of America. Now, folks, all who have access to this plan, or who inadvertently discover the plan, are silenced by that warning. Statements made in 1917 by John Dewey, that's 1917, ladies and gentlemen, by John Dewey, in a speech he made in New York, also confirmed it. When I saw this plan while I was in the Navy, I believed it. It was not until I had performed many years of research that I was able to fully understand exactly what it was that I had seen. It was extremely difficult, at best, for me to believe that my government and the Navy had used me in the manner in which they had, especially since I had dedicated my life to government and military service. Ladies and gentlemen, this plan is real. The extraterrestrial threat is artificial. The alien threat, or so-called alien threat, is presented as real. None of them, and I can say this absolutely with no hesitation whatsoever, not one single one of them has ever seen any evidence of the existence of any extraterrestrial creature or any advanced technology other than that of human origin. And alien abductions of humans with absolutely, and I'll say this again, with absolutely no proof that extraterrestrials exist anywhere in the universe, much less that any have ever visited this planet whatsoever. The artificial threat is further advanced through the mind control programming of Marxists in Hollywood, television, advertising, publishing houses, and of course, the vast ufology movement. Fear, ladies and gentlemen, is instilled through the incidental use of terror, inspired by the cattle and animal mutilation byproducts of the government's secret radiation monitoring operations and the so-called alien abduction scenario induced by state-of-the-art and extremely sophisticated mind control operations. The effect upon the people of the world was that if we could go to the moon, other creatures from other worlds could travel to our Earth, especially an advanced race of other creatures. The escalation of the artificial alien threat scenario since that time has been and continues to be extremely obvious. After hearing this broadcast, you should go back and watch Independence Day again and listen very carefully to all of the dialogue, especially that spoken by the President and some of the other leaders of the world. A result, ladies and gentlemen, of the Genome Project at Los Alamos National Laboratory, the recent success of cloning and advances in biochemistry will produce laboratory-created creatures that will ultimately be presented to the people of the world as extraterrestrial in origin. The only reason an extraterrestrial has not been presented to humanity is that they have not yet succeeded in making one that is believable. For an in-depth explanation of this artificial alien threat scenario, read the report from Iron Mountain, The Probability and Possibility of Permanent Peace. The whole scenario is outlined in that study.
The book came out in 1926. Now, there's 300 copies. Now, everybody, that's interested, but has wondered about the secrets of alchemy, and it's such a dark place where, how do I say this? Well, anyway, but now the books hit the streets. Were they running around from cathedral to cathedral trying to decipher and get, because now finally the secrets are in print. If you can understand what he's written.
All right.
I got
so that's
you.
one way around. Okay. So then Fulcanelli tells us that these things are describing a double catastrophe. And that if you look at it, you can figure out what that double catastrophe is and when it's going to happen. So, naturally intrigued by all of this, I began looking, and I began realizing, are they letter A's?
Yes, they are
letter A's, but they're also mountains. The A's are mountains, and the little indentation, which looks like the compass and square from Freemasonry, the broken crossbar, that's the tunnels that are in the mountains.
I got
That's
you.
where you go to get away from the exploding sun.
I got you. Okay. Okay, so now, which picture do you want to go to next? Okay.
So, all right, so Fulcanelli tells us that this tells you where there is a place of safety. If you can figure out how to decipher this phrase. Okay, now the weird thing about this is that the person who built this misspelled the words. It should be O Crux Save at the end of the E, and then the S at the end of the top word should actually be at the bottom word, so it should read Spes Unica, the only hope, okay, which is what that means. So the sculpturer of the Cross of Henday really screwed up, right? It would be like saying United States, but having it be United and an S, Uniteds, and then Tates at the bottom, right?
Right.
Really a silly mistake. But it isn't a mistake. It was done on purpose, and it was done to call attention to itself.
Okay,
and I just happen to be very good at pattern recognition. So I was sitting there, and I realized at the very center of that phrase on the cross was an X, or a cross. And that struck me as odd, And furthermore, if you look at it, there's 4 words with 4 letters on all 4 sides of that cross.
That's right.
So now that really got me going, and because it fit within the motif of the cross. The cross has 4 sides.
8. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah,
exactly.
Yes.
So it was falling into, and it would also explain the spelling error, why you would do it. So what I did was I then divided up the thing into 4 separate words, and this is all in my book if you want to see it, how I did it. And I re-scrambled the words, and it came out to say Inca Cave, Cusco, Peru. And it came out perfect. I mean, there was no wasted letters or anything. And then I thought to myself, well, hey, I think it's coming out in English. But then I looked it up, and I realized that no, the Cusco is spelled with an S, the Spanish style of how you spell Cusco. I remembered, of course, and for absolutely no reason at all, in the middle of Mystery of the Cathedrals, Fulcanelli goes off on this tangent about how the high priests of the Peruvian Incans knew all the secrets. And it's like a throwaway 3-sentence thing, and we're off onto another subject, right? And I'm like, what? It always bothered me.
Right.
So, I went to Cusco, and I did everything that I was supposed to do, and I found these caves. They're actually everywhere.
This is real.
And they're
this is
deep.
Not imaginary. Okay, continue. So now you're in Peru.
Yeah, and I'm going, I'm looking around and everything, and I'm starting to read the histories of Peru, and I'm starting to figure out that actually Pizarro had a court alchemist in the group with him that was given to him by King, was it Francis, I think, of Spain, and that this alchemist knew all this stuff. Then I found the drawings of Pizarro's artists that went with him, and one of the art pieces that he had was The Secret of the Incas, and it was an oval with 4 signs one was an angry sun, one was a moon, one was an eight-pointed star,
No.
and one was a cave, the caves at Toliabango. So, which of course I then went to those caves.
Right.
And there's these deep caves, and they obviously were created by humans. They have straight walls. And the Incas say, when you ask the Inca, the Quechua, who built this, they say they were built here long before we got here, dude. They don't even claim that they did it. They don't, you know. And what's interesting about all this is that this is.
Another revelation to those who understand the symbolic language of the Illuminati is the hidden meaning of the names of the space shuttles. Now listen to me very carefully. Quote, a Colombian enterprise to endeavor for the discovery of Atlantis, and all challengers shall be destroyed, end quote.
You know, and why do you think? Like I said, I know the answer, so I'm just going to let you answer it. Why are they sealing off caves, Jay?
Because they don't want us to. They don't want us to save ourselves.